it's me, Paranormal Sarah, or Sarah Soderlund, depending on how you know me, and I'm so glad that you are joining me. I am trying to do this video. I'm kind of, I usually get all jammed up and everything, but today my sister had a baby, so all of the family's kind of in a full moon. You know what I mean? It's tomorrow. We are in the last 24 hours of that energy and stuff is going down. So I wanted to check in with you and give you my full moon report. I've been trying to do these because not only do I appreciate the astrology that, I follow a few astrologers online. I've really been enjoying Bahati Life. I share her off. You can check Bahati Life there. But also I really have been enjoying just sitting back and doing testimonials with clients. I've been doing a new mentoring session. They're only $30 and it allows us to sit down and kind of evaluate how you gather information, how you interpret energy, and therefore to kind of allow you to evolve and fine-tune your own intuition. And of course, anytime you give, you get. So as I do that for others, I'm learning that it's helping me in return. But right now, I want to share with you guys, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the constellation Cetus. For me, I always kind of think of it as the Leviathan, the whale, the Kraken, the big sea monster, the Loch Ness in the sky. And right now, the moon is getting ready to line up with Uranus for the first time in 7 years and be doing this thing with the constellation Cetus that is going to have us really needing to interpret the energy in the environment. So the story of Cetus, I always remember growing up with like that old TNT Clash of the Titans, and it was fantastic. I grew up with this idea that in that Greek gods you had, the little characters and the little dolls of everyone, and Medusa looked a certain way, and Perseus and Andromeda, and the whole story tale of how that goes down looked a certain way to me, and I really loved that story. Release the Kraken, and kind of being a little scared that there of course is a sea monster out there. What does that mean, the ocean monster, and how it is being released unto the world? It's going to be taking the king and queen's most beautiful prized possession, Andromeda, because they have spoken against the gods. And then Perseus, this hybrid cast out, comes out and he gets these gifts from his father, from God, and he gets divine intervention and guidance, and he goes on to cut the head off of Medusa, the only thing on the earth that can overcome and kill the Kraken, the sea monster, the Cetus. And then he holds Medusa's head, and her gaze turns anything to stone, and it meets eyes with the Kraken as he's flying over on Pegasus. And of course it crumbles into the ocean, and Andromeda and Perseus go on to get married. So you have this really amazing story of what it means to kind of resist something, and what it means to use your ego and blatantly be rude and kind of shun the gods, and how you can overcome the chaos of the world around you. The story of the Kraken and what it is kind of in the human subconscious, what our fears are, what it is that we're afraid to face on. And then, of course, the power of Medusa, this female archetype that is so beautiful that eventually, she becomes this horrible, horrible monster through her own story, and no one can gaze upon her without turning to stone. And she is beheaded in the story, and there's all sorts of symbolism to the human emotion and the human experience. And I really, really love some of those old tales and how they are related to me when I look at constellations. When I go out with my kids and we get out our telescope right there behind me, and we go out and we look at the meteor shower, we look at the moon, and we talk about the planetary alignments and their energies and their stories and how they fit into our mind. So with that, we are now moving out of Aries, and the moon, the full moon, the hunter moon, the big blood moon, the falling leaf moon, depending on your culture, is the second moon, usually in October. Sometimes it can be in November, but it's the second moon after the harvest moon. So it's the moon after the harvest. We call that the hunter moon. It's when all of the game outside is big and fat and plump, and the turkeys are ready for cutting, and the trees are dropping all of their nuts and their acorns, and squirrels and all of the other creatures are scurrying around, going into survival mode as we get ready for the change of season. Now, there's also this overwhelming feeling of, it's both kind of omnipotent to the winter, but then also a little anxious, because you start to look at your harvest and you go, oh man, we didn't get, the harvest that we needed this year, or we do or we don't have enough food to provide us through the winter, or we do or do not have the means to make it through the season. And so you kind of already know that if not everyone can eat, some people have to die. There's a culling that happens this time of year with Mother Nature, and every 7 years things get shaken up pretty heavy. This year specifically is one of those times. A lot of people have been coming to me both in my intuitive mentorship program, but also as clients, both through therapy, counseling, but also through psychic work, that say, gosh, I really feel like something is, and they can't quite put their finger on it. It's very, very much this kind of spiritual ascension time where everybody has to rise to the occasion. And if you don't, it's kind of like, the old Spartan tradition of, if you're not going to make it and you're going to pull everybody down, you need to be cast out. And so witches everywhere, witches of England, but really witches everywhere, are aware of this. They're aware of the cultural traditions, the worldviews that celebrate this time of year, the bonfires, the bobbing for apples, the season moving into winter, and how we all go into that survival mode, and what that means spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for us and for those of us around us. So we know the environment is going to be a little chaotic, but moving from Aries to Taurus, well, what the heck does that mean? I always encourage everyone to journal, not only if you're into astrology and you know your sun sign and your moon sign and your second house and the rising sign and all this. If you're not really into all that, or it's too much for you to remember, at the very least, kind of think of those people that you know in your life that are a Taurus. Think of those stereotypical personality traits that we give to the Taurus, the bull. They're very stubborn. They don't really like change. They like routine. They are kind of quiet. They are impulsive, and they are long-term stability. Now, you have the moon with Uranus directly over it, and all this stuff happening. Uranus brings impulsive mystery, like, oh, really? Uranus is like, well, boop. It's the oddball of the group. And when you have the moon in Taurus, we know that there's going to be some big changes, and that there's going to be some resistance to that change. And everybody is kind of adjusting. So either you're transforming and you're adjusting to your environment with ease, you're riding that wave, or you're emotionally going to be on hiatus and you're really going to be struggling. Okay. So another thing that we have going on is that the North Node is moving into Leo. So again, think of the Leos in your life. These are kind of that Leo the lion, the possessive, jealous, big ego, roar, very protective and strong and courageous. So we've got North Nodes moving into Leo, telling us that we are going to be gravitating towards our desires. Leos out there, they don't give an F. They do what they want, when they want, how they want. And so there's an era of that life shaking. The moon, our intuition and our emotions and all of that stuff, is in Taurus, being shook up, and we are trying to see it for the long term and adjusting to major life change. We have to ride it out. We have to be calm among the restlessness. We have to be aware that there's going to be a big pull. I mean, a heartstrings pull. This might be, the first time in a long time. This is what I need to do. These decisions are big. Like, these life changes are like, whoa. That's the North Node in Leo. That's all of this stuff pulling at you in that full moon. And you have to decide, are you strong enough? Can you do this? Are you gonna make it through the winter? And you have to decide that. But so then say you want some more information, right? Well, then we've got Mercury, which Mercury is, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars. So Mercury is the teeny tiny little planet closest to the sun. It's very, very hot, right? And Mercury, I often think of it as that energy closest to the sun, that it's kind of harnessing over our details, over the everyday routine. It's not just how we think about ourselves, but how we do what we do. And that's going to be going into Scorpio. So then think of all the Scorpios, that's my dad. Quiet, very stuck in their regiment, very, God, they love details. They can almost tell you when they're arriving at a certain time. They have it down. Very intuitive, but also very mysterious. Scorpios usually have that deep, dark secret, right? So Mercury, doing what we do, putting in that into Scorpio, we are sitting back in the doctor's chair, feeling like we're being psychoanalyzed. And we're doing it ourselves. But the universe is also putting a microscope up and looking at it. And we kind of feel like everybody else is in the shit show with us. So everybody's watching everybody. And we feel like, okay, we need to be introspective. We need to sit down and understand that all of these emotions right now, they're just very raw. They're very transparent. The full moon does that, right? The full moon lights up the forest. You can go out there at night and go like, whoa, I don't even need a flashlight. And that's what it does to our intuition as well, is it lights up everything within us, and it allows us to gaze into things that we may not be aware of. But also with light, it casts shadows. So we need to be careful of those deep, dark places within ourselves and allow Mercury moving into Scorpio to help psychoanalyze that and understand, how can we use this in an efficient way? Now the Hunter's moon, it's also called the blood moon because we get it going lower on the horizon. We see that kind of later in the evening, all the fall colors, all of these, the carbon in the atmosphere. We're seeing these beautiful red hues and pink hues. So there's kind of a node to that air and color in the environment. But also the blood moon is very symbolic of we have to cull things. So what does that mean when I say that? This is that time that Mother Earth says, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it, you're not going to make it, you're gone. Tsunamis, earthquakes, go. Okay, this, no, too much, I've had enough. We're shaking it off like a George Carlin skit, like a set of fleas, you know what I mean? And so those of us who are strong enough to anticipate this and ride the wave and stay strong through it, not completely ruin our lives in the process, that we can stay somewhat stable, that we can see the long-term investment. We have to be ready. This is kind of that, if you're on a plane going down, it's like, throw everything out that we don't need. And you start getting rid of things. Now, you don't want to do this at the last minute, right? We never want to have resentment or impulsive decisions that make us feel trapped. But if there are things in and around your life, people, relationships, routines, habits, addictions, beliefs, worldviews, any of this, if it does not serve you, let it go. Let it go. I won't do that to you. But seriously, you need to allow yourself to be able to transform by not controlling your environment, which is going to be a little chaotic. We're all in that together, this moon. But instead saying, what are my strengths and what are my weaknesses? Okay, these are my weaknesses. Let's get them out of here. Let's get them out of here. Let's cut it. That person, every time they call me, they want something, they're rude, they're not a family or friend, they're just kind of somebody that I can't say no to. Get them out of here. Cut those cords. If they do not serve you, don't do it. Look at your desk. Look at your altar space. Look at your bedroom. Look at your closet. This is that time, kind of like spring cleaning, only let's consider it that fall purge. And we want to get rid of stuff we don't need. And instead, we want to prepare. We want to have space. We want to have good health. We want to have good mental capacity. We want to have strong people around us and our support group. We want to have our health and our diet and all of that stuff planned, our finances. It's kind of interesting. I showed in the last moon report, people are going to be spending their money up until the 24th. And then the people are going to start having issues with that. That 24th full moon tomorrow, stuff's going to hit the fan, and there may be some pitfalls where people are like, I can't believe I did that. But so instead, take these final moments. This is that blinking light before you get to the green light. Some people are barreling through that intersection and they're thinking they're just going to fly through. This is me telling you that the universe is telling us this blinking light says slow down. Just go ahead and slow down. Get to the stoplight, because then there's going to be a car accident and right up ahead there's a police officer. So just know that all of this stuff is happening around us, and so instead of barreling through it to get there on time and oh my God, I'm not there and I'm late and all this shit's going crazy, instead of processing it that way, see the signs, slow your roll, and write things down that don't serve you. Flush them down the toilet. Write things down, burn them in a candle, put them in your sage, put them in your cauldron, put them in a potion. Eat them. I don't care what you do with it. Whatever your spirituality or whatever your personal belief system is, do that. If you're struggling with that area, that's where you contact me for private stuff. But I don't want you to be cold. And if you are, I want you to know why, so that you can use that lesson to better yourself and that you can follow suit and cull your own life for things that are good for you. Let go that that doesn't serve you. Let it go. Also, this is that time of year, Tres de la Muertes. It's the thinning of the veil, Samhain. We are seeing the darkness is upon us more often than the light. And so everyone, at least in older cultures, believed, well, in the night, that's when you get spiritual demons and creatures and things that we can't see, things that we can't control, things that we just don't know about, all of that spooky stuff. And everything dying this time of year, the bridge, the rainbow bridge, that bridge like you see in Coco, that's such a great cartoon, it's kind of shaking like those old malls would do, and you'd be still enough to feel everyone walking at the same moment. It's kind of bending and bowing to all of the activity right now. And so there's everyone dying. People in hospice, they're dying. From the beginning of October to October 24th, people are going to pass away. Babies are going to be born. There's a big thing happening right now with that. People that are struggling with mental health, overdosing, suicide, those kinds of things, emotions are on high. So you can see how in the perfect storm, this stuff is going to be going down right now as all of those little channels on the full moon, crank it up. Emotions in Taurus, crank it up. Uranus, back like it was in 2011. Oh yeah, I remember that. Crank it up. We see that the universe is doing this, and we've just got to sit back and go, oh no, oh, give me a hot dog. Whoa, it's about to get real. So it's that moment. Now, it's also called the vine moon, plucking grapes, plucking berries, plucking fruits. You can kind of see the color coming in and the blood, because bloodshed. And we see a lot of these cultures that have the blood, the warrior paint. They're doing all sorts of bobbing for apples, harvest-type celebrations, bonfires to burn the dead, bonfires to burn that which does not serve you. And it's that time that with the veil being thin, with darkness being upon us more so than the light, it's a great time to work on intuition. Now, if you're more skeptical, scientific-minded, think of it as the collective consciousness of the world. So many people are doing the same thing all at once. It's like being at a concert and singing the lyrics with someone. You look over and 5 rows down, 50 rows down, you're all going, Hotel California, and so it's just this feeling of connection. And that's what people all over the world are doing right now. They're connecting to those ancestors that have passed away. It's a great time to get a new spirit doll, to get a new altar space, to kind of move things around and say, you are my guide, whether it be Hecate or whether it be Apollo or whether it's Nostradamus or whether you're going to be reaching out to Anthony Bourdain or whomever that you call to on the other side, your great mama or whoever. Put their picture up. Put a visual up. I like to do visual, audio, kinesthetic, because that's how I was trained whenever I went to school. And hypnosis, those are these kind of things that really speak to us on a lot of different levels. So I provide a visual. I like to put smells in the air. When you think of religions that have an offering table, get your candle, light the flame. Earth, air, fire, water, soil, eggshells, feathers, flames, do whatever you want. But what's exciting is that now is the time to do it. the full moon. When should I do this, Sarah? Do it tomorrow on the 24th. Do it on the full moon. It's when the light is the brightest. It's when everybody's doing their cool magic. It's when the veil is thin. Blue, black, purple, obsidian, tourmaline, amethyst. And one of my favorite meditations right now, this time of year, I kind of write this in my grimoire, which I got from April Slaughter. I kind of write what it is that I'm meditating for that moon. Things die so that we may live. When I reach out to all of my bones and my animal pieces and my spirit guides and my totem animals, and I think of everything that is passed on physically, it's left something here for us to nourish our life, physically, emotionally, mentally even. And those are gifts. I hate consumerism for all that it represents, this idea that if something is broken, we just trash it, or if we don't love it, we just get rid of it. Just to buy, get. This time of year, to be able to purge things that don't serve me, give away things, write thank yous, send gifts, to connect with my loved ones on the other side, and to put things out on the altar for them to remember, to go out and make wreaths from all of the pine trees and the leaves that are, turning brown, and getting those and putting pumpkins and gourds out. These are the kind of rituals that make life rich. It's why I love alternate spirituality. It's why I love mixing all of it together to enhance my mental health. And it's why I want to share these cheats with you. I'm hoping that you will get off of this video and you'll be inspired to go shift around an altar space, or get out a picture of somebody that you miss that's passed away that you want to remember this Samhain. I want you to feel, as the full moon comes tomorrow, that when Mother Earth has her issues, and when people start cutting their cords, when they're emotionally high, that you look and you say, spiritually, we're all going into survival mode. So I can see why. And just use that information to give you justification and give you meaning and give you the time and energy for yourself that you need to prepare. So with that, guys, I'm going to jump out of here and do some of my full moon prepping. I've got some really great new things going up in the shop. For those of you who get my newsletter, I sent you off a coupon to get 30% off. And then a lot of the stuff I went in and clicked free shipping. So some of that you're going to even see less than you expected if you've had your eye on something. Now, one thing I do want to say is that I put up a few additional scrying sets. It's something, it's not very popular. People don't buy them very often, but it's a question I get a lot of, like, how can I do this or how can I do that? Recently at the Haunted America conference with Troy Taylor, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, she was doing black mirror scrying. And you see some of these happening in the paranormal shows. You see people scrying, and what is that, or what is that about? You can obviously go and Google and find things on scrying. I might even do a video for it just to kind of show how I like to do it. But a big part of it is Gestalt psychology. A big part of it is going to be pareidolia. And so therefore, another big part of its success is going to be the confidence that you have within yourself. So confidence comes with practice. I tell that to everybody. Sometimes it's not always just a let you be perfect. You actually have to take that gift and shine it and perfect it and exercise it. And so scrying is a great way to do that. It's a really fun way of divination. And I've got some of the old-fashioned antique magnifying glasses that you would use and move over writing. But then I also have old spherical scrying balls. And it just kind of is going to be what suits your fancy. But I would suggest, if you're looking for a way this October, especially as we come into Halloween, if you're looking for a gift for yourself, something that you can use to enhance your intuition, look in and investing for ways to support dream work, dream interpretation, maybe a journal, some nice valerian root tea, 2 milligrams of melatonin before you go to sleep. Couple that with some passion root or lotus flower. hit the bed with some lavender and chamomile. Oh my gosh, put a bay leaf under your pillow. You got me crazy wild. Spiritual magic. But if you're not really into dreams, or you feel like your subconscious is really stressed right now and you are really struggling and you don't like to do all that interpretation, sometimes the immediate visual of scrying, being able to see something and think about something, it's just a really cool way to get your mind into a different frequency, get into that hypnagogic state and connect with spirits. Oh, there she is. So you guys, I'm going to head off here. For those of you going into hunting season, I hope that you do remember things live so that, or things die so that we may live, and that you use all of the pieces. Give them to your local taxidermist if you're going to be hanging out stuff, or furs. Think about any, just think about all the fun things that you can do with that. You don't just have to cut the leg bone off and eat it like a turkey leg at the Ren Fair and move on. Hopefully we can all truly give some respect to that which is going to be culled this season, because boy is it ever. So get your panties on, guys. The full moon in Taurus tomorrow. It's supposed to be at 11:45 in the morning EDT, so you may not actually see the moon if you're here and around where I'm at, but it's going to be bright in the sky tonight, and that's going to be when I'm writing all of my stuff down and getting all of my intentions set. And then in the morning when I wake up, feet to the carpet, I'm going to say, welcome full moon, and let's get to cutting. And I'm so excited that you are going to be joining me. I'm going to be thinking about you, and I hope that you will join me on social media, Instagram at Paranormal Sarah, or on Facebook at The Paranormal Sarah, as I go on live tonight, like I do every night, to do my free mini readings. Until then, guys, I'll see you later.